Recently, I've been reading the massive comic book event Spider-Verse, and it's pretty good as far as events go. If I were to give it a rating, I think it would be around a 7 out of 10. The plot is simple. The Inheritors, a group of vampires, are hunting and eating Spider-Man across the multiverse. And so, every Spider character from every universe has to come together to combat these ferocious foes. The whole storyline is a bit of a drag, honestly, with one of the wackiest reading orders I've ever seen. But I don't think there's been a celebration of Spider-Man as big as this one. We see a version of Spider-Man from 2099, a pig version of the character called Spider-Ham, and the Japanese Spider-Man from the 70s show who has a freaking robot. We see Spider-Man with cosmic powers, a female version of the character who built a superhero suit with mechanical arms, and way more. We see so many spider people with creative designs and varying power levels. And yet, the Spider-Man of Earth 616, the main one the comics follow, is at the center of the story. The classic Spider-Man we all know and love is the leader, the center of this spider army. Peter Parker from Earth 616 is put in this leadership role because he is the only one who has been able to beat one of these vampires before. Morlun, to be specific. It's honestly insane how big in scale this event is, and even more surprising that the Spider-Man we know is the center of it all. Honestly, good for him. I like when Peter Parker is part of the bigger picture. Although I might not like all Spider-Man comics, I appreciate the fact that Peter has taken so many roles over the years. Photographer, teacher, scientist, and even a tech billionaire. And with the character's surge in popularity over the past 20 years, Spider-Man has gotten even bigger roles. I'm not really talking about him being part of superhero teams or getting new jobs. I'm mostly talking about the scale of some of his stories. We've seen the multiverse in animation and in live action. We've seen Spider-Man basically go from being a hero that saves people on the streets to saving basically the entire universe sometimes, which I think is pretty cool. It's an upward progression for the character, and it is nice to see the character finally being involved in bigger stories where he saves the entire city more often. But when you make Spider-Man the center of these big events all the time, Peter kind of loses a part of what makes him special, his friendly neighborhood side. Spider-Man stories that are big, grand, and epic are kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's nice to see Peter grow into having a bigger and more meaningful role. But on the other hand, making the character powerful and special kind of contradicts what made Spider-Man unique in the first place, the fact that he's an everyman. So, what do you do? How do you go about this problem? Well, what if you do both at the same time? In 2019, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was relaunched, and it is the exact opposite of Dan Slott's Spider-Verse. Written by Tom Taylor with art by Juan Cabal and Ken Lashley, the series only lasted for 14 issues, and yet, despite its short stint at the stands, captures so perfectly what makes Spider-Man special. Instead of focusing on battles and epic fights, the series sees Peter go back to his humble roots. There is still a lot of action since it is a superhero book, but it places an emphasis on relationships and humanity. In the comic, Peter finds genuine connection with those he's trying to save. He saves a van from falling and has a chat with the father and daughter who were in it. They offer money and Spidey declines and tells them to give it to other people who need it. There's also this cute moment where the kid is scared of Spider-Man's logo and tries to squish it, which I find pretty funny. There are a ton of moments like this in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Interactions Peter or Spidey has with the people in his life. Sometimes these moments are endearing and moving, like when Spider-Man spends time playing with a boy diagnosed with cancer, and when he doesn't want to go to bed out of fear that he won't wake up, Spidey takes him out and swings him around the city. Other times, Spider-Man's interactions with others are very comedic, like the time he and Mr. Fantastic have the exact same flow of thought as they try to disable a certain weapon, and when they succeed, they give each other a Science 5, to which the Human Torch and the Thing express absolute disdain for. Every character in the book, from heroes like Iron Man to street kids like Miguel, are all given the same level of respect and attention. And this does not make the story boring. In fact, seeing everybody from the mightiest hero to the average Joe as people with unique and charming personalities, it makes you see the good that Spider-Man is fighting for. The individuals that make up the complex yet beautiful world that Spidey knows is worth protecting. This isn't just a book that puts Spider-Man and his actions on a pedestal, though. We see heroes like the Rumor and the Prowler fight alongside him, as well as the people in Peter's life like Aunt May and Mary Jane, who do a lot of good work outside of superheroing. There is an issue in the series, probably my favorite one, where Mary Jane encounters a troll in the subway while Peter is fast asleep, and uses her wit and experience to evacuate the train and beat the troll, with a bit of help from Miles Morales, of course. Anyway, there are a lot of good things I can say about this series. It manages to be fun and lighthearted while also dealing with darker issues like authoritarianism and terminal illness. The art, coloring, and lettering is really well done for the most part, but what really makes the comic work is that it places people first. I mean, it is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, after all. You know, there's a recurring thought that often appears in my head as I read stories of street-level superheroes. This whole year, I've delved into the Marvel comic book universe like never before, and the distribution of power in the Marvel universe is wild. You have characters like Silver Surfer, the Hulk, Sentry, and Thor who wield godlike power. They can cause massive destruction, but with their heart in the right place, they can save the lives of countless cities, nations, planets even. And then you put street heroes alongside them, and they just pale in comparison to the giants of the superhero world. When actual world-ending threats like Galactus or Thanos arrive, street-level heroes can't really do much to help. Characters like Black Widow, Moon Knight, and Daredevil, whose contributions could all be reduced to ashes in seconds by much more powerful institutions and individuals, do they really do much good in the long run? In the face of greater heroes and powers beyond their control, do street-level superheroes really even matter? So, if things go as planned, I'm going to be graduating college 2.5 years from now. Collectively, me and my peers represent the future of the world, the workforce that is going to determine what the next few decades are going to be like. In many ways, my generation has been blessed and cursed with the technology of the information age, giving us the best quality of life and entertainment there has ever been, but also loneliness and political division like never before. We've gotten so many amazing medical advancements that have lengthened the lifespans of the average human and cured what were once incurable diseases, saving so many lives of people as a result. But we've also got a looming global threat on the horizon. We've started to really feel the effects of climate change due to human activity. My generation has the power to either make or break the future, be the saviors of this dying world, or be responsible for its demise. The young people of today are unlike any generation that came before it, with its own unique conveniences and issues, its own joy and grief. But on an individual level, I think what us soon-to-be graduates want is the same thing that any person exiting university from any time period wants: to matter. We want to meet the expectations placed on us, to please those we love, and prove to those who doubted us that they were wrong. We want to come back to high school reunions with pride, being able to say that our lives have not been wasted. We want to rest and die knowing that we contributed something meaningful to the world and that our lives mattered. But what if none of that ends up happening? What if we end up falling far, far below the expectations set on us? What if our dreams turn to dust, our careers crumble, and we find ourselves lost and unsuccessful and alone? What if we fail? Not because we never tried or never had opportunities, but we just weren't good enough. What if our peers end up leading successful lives, fulfilling their dreams, and we are lagging behind? In the face of those more successful and attractive and talented than us, do we even matter? When Spider-Man debuted in the pages of Amazing Fantasy issue 15, people didn't gravitate toward him because he was the best. He wasn't the most powerful hero on the block, nor was he the most wealthy. And yet, the character stands today as the world's most celebrated and profitable superhero of all time. But Spidey isn't the only good street-level superhero, though. The world of the Marvel Universe is filled to the brim with street-level characters just as cool as the web-headed wall-crawler. There is so much joy to be found in the pages of Hawkeye, Captain America, Miss Marvel, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and the list goes on. Through their stories, albeit on a smaller scale, we know that the good they do does matter. We see the people they help and inspire, the communities they help build, and the intimate relationships they hold dear. I love street-level superheroes because they redefine what it means to matter. They remind us of a cliche yet important lesson. You don't need to be super to be a hero.